and welcome to How Design Thinking Can Impact Your Business. My name is Kim Lantis, and I'm the internal content coordinator here at Nearsoft. I'm joined by Miguel Medina, who is a UI UX designer with us. Hi, Miguel.
Hello, guys.
And also Denise Gutierrez, who is a UX design researcher, part of our team, UX team. We are a multidisciplinary team. Filled with lots of different people, okay? UX designers, researchers, business development, marketing, interaction, visual design, content. So we're a really, really fun team. Go ahead and look at our beautiful faces. Well, we're getting there. Just one moment. There we are. Look at us. All right, great. So today's topic is how design thinking can impact your business. So real quick, let's just go through that agenda. First, we're going to look at what is design thinking in order to understand it better. And then very important, why design thinking? What does it mean to me and how can it help me? Then we'll go through that 5-step guide to innovate. Easy peasy. And then, of course, we'll look at some company examples, some companies that use design thinking and are very successful with it. And then, of course, we want to hear from you, our audience, with a Q&A session. So let's get started. Denise, tell us, what is design thinking?
Thank you, Kim, for the introduction. We're going to start with what is design thinking. And there are a lot of descriptions about design thinking on the web, but I like this very much because it's right to the point. It's a framework to innovate, and it's based on solving problems or challenges. And it's especially helpful for creating innovative products and service experiences. So design thinking has helped a lot of entrepreneurs and big companies to develop successful new products and business. This is not only for big companies, but also for startups. So having that in mind, design thinking is not about designers. Can you change the slide? Yeah. It's not about designers. We usually think of design as something that has to do with art, with pixels, with visuals, but design thinking is different. It's about functionality, and it's about everyone. So most people in organizations don't think themselves as innovators. The past slide, yeah. But innovation is for everyone. It's everyone's job. And by everyone, I mean the persons involved in the project, or even the whole company, from developers, project managers, marketing, strategists, etc. And the thing with design thinking is that great companies create a culture. It's not just a 5-step process. It's a culture that every employee is encouraged and empowered to innovate. And that's the most important part of thing. So, well, the relationship, we're talking about design thinking, and we are talking about innovation too. And the relationship between both of them, it's based on these 3 factors or components. The first one is business. This new idea, is it viable for your business goal or your marketing goal? And also technology, is it feasible? Is this new idea is something that we can implement? And the most important part is people. Do people really want or need this new idea that we're thinking of? So when we have those 3 elements, we're ready to build better products.
So that's kind of the, excuse me, I understand that's kind of like the first process then of design thinking, is establishing that you have these 3 elements. This, if we want to think of it as like a triangle of fire, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Triangle of fire.
So to have fire, you need fuel, you need heat, and then, oh my gosh, oxygen, right? So if you don't have one of those 3, or you take away one of those 3, you're going to put out your fire. So here the first step is for you to really think about these things: the business side, the technology side, and the people side. And if you can answer all three of those components, you're already ahead of the game. You've got that edge, helping you on that path to success.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And well, design thinking is important because it allowed us to create solutions based on real needs. And well, it allows us to go to the people who is actually using your product and empathize with them, find out what are their motivations, what are they thinking and feeling while using your product or services. And another thing that it's very important is that it helps us get rid of assumptions. Um, while we are talking with users and seeing how they interact in their daily environment using the product, we do know, while seeing them, that we get an understanding of the problem that they're facing. And another thing is that it encourages us to create as many solutions or ideas as we can, and that will boost creativity and, of course, innovation that will also help improve our products and keep creating great solutions.
So the traditional method of building a new product or a new service to innovate, the traditional companies usually just come up with a brainstorming session and that's it, but it's not enough. We're going to share with you the 5-step guide to innovate, and this is the design thinking process. And this is very, very important because if you follow these, it's not simply steps, but it's very, you need to follow each step.
I think well defined,
Yeah.
easy to remember.
And it's also iterative, so it's going to be empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And this will help you. This will help you as a guide to follow an innovative way of doing things.
Yeah, like adapting the process into their product or service.
Yeah, and also in your organization.
Yeah, of course.
Like a mindset. So the first step is empathize, and this has to do with understanding your users. Most of the time we hear user research, and it seems a little bit complex, but it's not. It's actually very easy to just get to know my users and know what matters to my users. So we start usually with assumptions, but we need to get rid of assumptions. And how are we going to do that? Observing our users and their behavior when they are interacting with our product.
Can I go ahead and interrupt you for a sec? I'm wondering, you said that sometimes getting your user feedback seems like it's this heavy task, this hard task, even an expensive task. How many users are we talking about? Is there like an ideal quantity, a statistically significant number of users that you should?
Yeah, usually you will need just 5 users to know, 5 to 7, and it will depend of the project, of course. But with that, you will have something very valuable and insights that will help you to your research. And
Thank you.
you will need, there are a lot of methodologies to have this in mind, like interviews but the general idea of this is just to have a conversation with your users and always ask why, so we can discover their motivations. Like that's the goal of this step. So once we have that, the next step will be define. we're going to know what our problem is. And what we need to ask ourselves is, do I understand my scope limits? Have I established my user needs? And also we need to know how to narrow all the information we gather from the first step and to actually interpret those findings. So how are we going to do that? First of all, we need to gather the insights that we've got, and then look out for patterns and define the problem. And something about defining the problem is also know what is not the problem. Like in this step, we're going to know for sure if our assumptions were actually true or not. So.
Right. Are there any methodologies that you could recommend for this, for helping us defining? Now we have the information. How do we look at it? How do we filter through it?
Yeah, there are a lot of methods for interpret those findings. You can take a look at our webpage, and then also we can share some links at the end. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then real quick before we move on, I forgot to mention, for those of you who are listening, if you have a question yourself, go ahead and Twitter with the hashtag Nearsoft UX webinar, please. That's again, Nearsoft UX webinar. All right. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. What comes after define?
After define, well, it comes the ideate step, which is the main goal here is to explore ideas and as many as we can. We need to ask ourselves how we are going to solve the problem that we're facing, and keep creating solutions collaboratively with our team. And how do we do that? Well, we can brainstorm and draw sketches of the solutions or write down solutions. And a very important thing that we need to take in consideration here is that we need to get ourselves the freedom to go for the crazy ideas. We are going to every idea it's okay, but we need to focus on the crazy ones because a crazy idea can help another idea mutate into an even greater one, and that's very valuable for the product or service that we're trying to solve. And after that, we need to vote for the final ideas that that covers most of the user needs that we're going to validate later. And for the next step, we're going to prototype the ideas that we selected or voted. And here we need to focus on the fast prototyping. We need to make the prototype as fast as we can, covering just the key elements of what we need to test. And we can ask ourselves, am I spending too many hours prototyping? Perhaps we have been prototyping for 6 to 8 hours, I think, and we believe it's a lot of time. We can reduce the time and make the validation faster and find out solutions in a faster way and test it with other features or other ideas. And how do we do this? Well, we can use paper and pencil. We can sketch prototypes or ideas that will solve the user needs. And we need to identify the questions that we want an answer with our prototype, because it's not good enough to just have a prototype and not knowing what we're going to do with it or what the users are going to find out with that. And we have a lot of methods, but one of the most common that we use is rapid paper prototyping that will help you build and test your prototype in a faster way.
So Miguel, is it easy, or is it safe to say rather that the prototype step in this guide is maybe one of the most challenging steps, in the sense that you have to sort of go against your nature, like fight that nature to have something perfect, or maybe you're so excited that you just want to jump into something right away, And it's really important that you take the time to play around, very hands-on, paper, pencil, like forget about codes or keyboards or actual structure, but think it through, play with it until you find what's really going to work for you.
Yeah, I mean, usually we as designers are kind of trying to perfect something that we're doing, but in this step we need to get rid of that. We need to don't be afraid to sketch the core of what we want to validate, the key elements, and I mean, we don't need to take much time on having or applying the color or what kind of typography are we going to use. We just need to put the main thing that people need to see. And I mean, it's kind of difficult at first, but once you get used to it, it's going to help you a lot and help you get as many ideas validated faster.
Okay, we do actually have an audience question. This comes from Sarah regarding prototyping. She wants to know, how do you decide what idea to prototype?
Well, once you are discussing or making solutions with your team, you'll see that some ideas are more feasible or met more user needs than the other. So you need to decide with your team which ones are going to be the best for what is your goal in your product or service.
Thank you.
And well, I'll continue. And the fast step, the last step is the testing. And here we need to validate our ideas with users. And we're going to find out if our product is intuitive or is easy to use, or if the things that we found on the Empathize step are met or keep being unmet, and how are we going to apply the feedback that we're going to get from users to improve a product and, well, keep, again, prototyping and testing again to have a successful product at the end. And how are we going to do this? The first thing, or more like the most important rule is, while we're testing our product, is we need to show it and don't tell the user how it's going to work, because it's going to bias the results and the feedback. So one of the common methods that we use and we suggest to do is usability testing while validating our prototype. And we need to take notes while we are testing our product. We need to see and to record and to save everything that the user is going to tell us, so that we can then apply all that things, and again find patterns to see what how can we improve our product and have a more validated product at the end. And
I'm sorry.
Okay, no,
go ahead.
okay, continue.
So I was just wondering, so you say show, don't tell, but it's important that your users are telling you, right?
Of course, we need to keep in mind again that we need to find why they are having trouble with that specific feature or element, and well, knowing the why, we can take action and to build again a solution.
So you essentially ask them to think out loud while they're testing your prototype.
Yeah.
Perfect. And the user quantity, is this something that's going to go back similar to the Empathize 5, 7?
Yeah,
should
to
be enough.
5 to 7. Yeah. Should
Cool.
be the trick.
Great. So there we had our. Anything else to say about the innovation process?
No, I think
No?
just want to mention that it's the design thinking process is an iterative process. So we can once we finish testing something, we can go back and prototype some new ideas and test it again. And if we need to know again what motivates users from other features that we're trying to build, we can go back to the Empathize and repeat all the process again as many times as we need.
Perfect. So that's like the whole idea behind innovation. You never stop. You
Yeah,
just keep going
exactly.
and going and doing and doing. Awesome. So we've seen this 5-step guide to design thinking, and now we want to know about, does it really work? It all sounds good and great, but tell me, does it work? Who uses design thinking in the real world, and how successful are they?
Yeah, one of the examples we like a lot is IKEA. They use design thinking process, and they say we always start the product development in people's homes, and I like that a lot because I can imagine how they can um, do their user research to actually know and um, understand how people live their lives and how they can make their lives a little bit easier. So they did a research and they found out that, for example, people use just only the 20% of their clothes in their wardrobes, and that's because often they can find what everything they need. So that's an insight they got in order to develop a new system, a new range of wardrobes organizers, and that's very interesting and very insightful for everyone that can be uh, build they can build new products based on the findings that they got. So um, they develop 2,000 new products each year, and that's amazing how they can come up with those different ideas and functional ideas of products every year. So they are constantly iterating their product, their processes in order to, even if they have a bunch of products that work, they can always improve them or make new ones.
And this would be a process too that I think that you could apply not only to what your users need, but one as a company might need. Like in the case of IKEA, like, okay, this particular product's maybe costing us too much. So can we
Yeah.
use design thinking? How can we lower our costs?
Yeah,
Or
remember that design thinking is not just to build products, it's about also services or internal processes that they may have. So, and but all of them are um, with the idea of making something simpler or easier for the users or
right,
us.
which,
Yeah.
which is what we happen to do a lot at Nearsoft ourselves. Is we take advantage of our own UX team and help create better internal processes.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right. In addition to IKEA, who else do we have?
Well, we have another example, which is GoPro, and well, GoPro has like a motto or something, and here I'm going to quote: "One of our biggest values is to fail fast. Design something, test it, learn, iterate, and repeat." I mean, we have the whole design process here, the design thinking process on one sentence. I mean, it's incredible, and how the design GoPro team applies design thinking to improve their product is that they have like 1 or 2 hours a day to go out into the world, just to say something, and use the product, the camera, and to experiment with it, to have fun with it, so they can understand what they're using and empathize with another customers, and with that they will develop and build even greater products and solutions to keep improving the product that they have. And it's something that the design team of GoPro has adapted as a culture. I mean, they live the process in their daily lives, and they have fun with it. And I think it's very important to keep improving whatever product or service that you are trying to build.
I like that you mentioned the idea of culture, of needing to adapt that. So, for time's sake, we can't really go into depth with other companies that adopt design thinking, but who else? Like, who's definitely worth mentioning and looking into further?
Well, and other companies are Apple, Netflix, Airbnb, Amazon, IBM, and Google. I mean, it's the most popular ones that have been successful, and well, the
But of course, there are many
oh
others,
yeah,
right?
of course,
Like,
just to mention a few.
Uh-huh.
Dare we say they probably wouldn't be the giants that they are without design thinking?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's not like they're using design thinking at the term. They use they drive innovation
The
and
concept of
yeah,
design thinking.
Yeah.
exactly.
Perfect. All right. So let's just get and sum up our takeaways from today. I think so. Ultimately, we want to know how to build innovative products. So we went ahead and looked at just what design thinking is. That it's not about what something necessarily looks like, the colors that it has, what one might think traditionally when you hear design, but it's about the functionality, the usability of the product that you want to create. And then who's it for? Basically everybody. And why do you want to do it? Well, to be creative, to innovate, to get rid of your assumptions, and basically to have the best product you can. Very important. Remember that triangle of fire, right? It needs to be applicable to your business, to your tech. Is the technology needs to exist? It needs to be feasible, and of course, it needs to be something that people want, something that people need. Remember that 5-step guide: empathize, define, ideate, prototypes, tests, and just what else, Denise? What do you have to say?
So we want to share with you guys 4 takeaways, and the first one is invest time to generate new ideas. If you own a product or want to build a new product, or even own a company, you need to invest time in having that mindset within your organization or within your team. To generate new ideas, you need to follow a process. So it's simply just follow and practice, and that will be the ideal to innovate. And the second is always understand your users. And I think that's my favorite one, because that's the foundation of the process. Even if it's not design thinking, what you're doing, if you understand your users, if you use the first step, that it's empathize, you are right on the path to innovate. Like, if you understand your users, then you will know if your product will be helpful for them or not. And the third one is fast turnaround prototype. We don't need to waste time in prototyping, because this has to do with failing fast, and I love that idea, because if you're going to fail, then fail fast and cheap. Like, you
Fast
need
and cheap.
yeah,
Mhm.
you need to get a rapid turnarounds on this process, in order to come up with a better ideas every time.
So we could maybe think about it like yanking off a band-aid, right? If you spend too much time here and you're trying little by little, it could be ultimately more painful than just let's
Yeah.
pull hard, get it over.
Uh-huh.
Did it work? Didn't it work? And move on. Great.
Yeah, and the last one is practice and iterate. In order to, as I said before, having that mindset of innovation in everyone in your company, you need to practice a lot. And you need to, don't be afraid of innovation, of the word innovation, of the word user research. It's just a step guide to follow, and then iterate if something is missing. And then, if when you are in that process of iteration, you're constantly thinking, how can I make it better? And that's very useful for a company that wants to innovate.
Thank you. So now what we'll go ahead and do is open it up to any more questions that our viewers might have. Again, that's the Twitter Nearsoft UX webinar. So we'll give you a minute, we'll give you a chance. In the meantime, Miguel, Denise, is there anything else that you'd want to talk about or add today?
Not really. I mean, if there's any other questions, I think we're
No? Good? All right. Perfect. So let's go ahead and just we'll wrap it up today then. Thank you so much for joining us again, UX team by Nearsoft. If you want to know more, please check us out at ux.nearsoft.com. And of course, email us at ux-team@nearsoft.com. And of course, not only to check us out, but if you're looking for somebody to help you through this process, perhaps for the first time, we're there for you, and we'd like to work with you. And of course, if you'd rather have a more human, direct contact rather than email for the first time, reach out to Sandra. She's a very, very fun and nice gal. That's at 408-890-2115. Again, ux.nearsoft.com. And thank you so much, Miguel, Denise. Thank you for your time today, and it's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And I do need to mention, for those of you who did register for the webinar today, you're going to go ahead and get this slide presentation as well as a recording of our webinar sent to you. So look out for that in your inbox.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
guys.
great day.
Bye.
Bye.